Oh, off to a great start. Hi, I'm just gonna narrate this video of me walking around a park I've never been to before. Um, I'm really inspired by a YouTuber who goes by Coaster420. If he has ever given his first name in his videos, I did not absorb it, so I'm sorry for that. But Coaster420 goes to a lot of theme parks. He is a coaster enthusiast, I think it's fair to say. And he has a lot of roller coaster opinions, but what he does is he shoots this very POV video of where he goes. I don't think he himself has appeared in any of his videos, but he shoots this very POV video. Sometimes his friends are present on the video. And then he narrates it after the fact. He gives it very light editing, I think, and he narrates after the fact a short video about his trip and his opinions of the coasters. And he does this narration, again, after the fact, while very drunk and high by his own attestation. Now, I'm not currently very drunk, by which I mean I'm not drunk at all. I just want to note that, yeah, the Walt Disney show is up in the town square. And that's not something I ever look at unless it's being kind of called out especially. And it was not called out especially here. It was a detail that I noticed, and it completely derailed my train of thought. I may be a user of, look, I'm a middle-aged single white man in a legal state. Do I have to spell this out for you people? So I'm just going to do one take of narration here, and I'm going to edit it later. This is not my own video. This is a Disneyland walkthrough recorded by an account called Vibes to the Parks, something like that. Vibes in the Parks, Vibes and the... A link to their channel will be in the description. They licensed this video under a Creative Commons attribution license, and I will attribute their work correctly in the video description if I have not done so already. There's that new show at mainstream cinema, at Main Street Cinema. How hilarious would it be if they renamed this to Mainstream Cinema and just started showing just Matt Damon's face, just every shot from a movie, and it would have to be different shots on the different screens, and that is something that bothers me about the show that they're doing right now, is that this is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the film. It's a tribute to the Sherman Brothers, who wrote a lot of great Disney songs, including It's a Small World, of course. And because they added the verse, I believe the verse that was released posthumously for one of the Sherman Brothers, a new verse for the song. I don't remember the exact circumstances or the reasons why they did the new verse, but they added a new verse to It's a Small World, and they made that movie to celebrate that, and them, and those, and these. I wish they actually sold rare spices at the Market House on Main Street. It says rare spices next to coffee and tea and everything else on the thing there. Oh, it's coming up on nighttime parade time. This is a fairly recent video. I don't remember what nighttime parade is on at Disneyland Park these days. I believe the new one, the Starlight parade, is at Magic Kingdom. I have been frustrated with my channel lately, and I wanted to imitate this Coaster420 format because it seems low effort enough to fit into my actual life, which I had to retool my own channel and my own videos to be that, and they were already pretty low impact. But I had to even just take a hatchet to the channel and chop it in two and rebuild it to keep it something that fits into my life. And now I face the challenge of how to make content during the half of the year when I can't go to the park. And I am pursuing a number of strategies on that front, but one of them is this one. I don't think I'm going to overindulge in this one. But I wanted to give it a try. Just, look at that guy with all the stuff on. Okay. But as you can see, we're headed towards an area that has a couple of signs up relaying maybe what it's known as, and it has this very strange kind of orbular blobby sculpture at the front. Looks sort of like a robot with very wide haunches, with a very hippie robot. Not hippie like the 60s, but hippie as in possessing of hips. There's a mountain over there. Yeah, what a lovely park this is at this time of day, right? In the twilight, the street lamps are on, and like this area has no theme. This is something that, and we seem to be headed right there. We're going to Matterhorn Land, which is wonderful. I hope we go straight back to It's a Small World and to Toontown, and I hope we go just right down the middle of the place that's the most interesting place for my purposes in Disneyland, which is the place that is themed around Disneyland. It's not themed, and so far we are headed straight down the middle of it. We'll see which direction we go when we get to the foot of the mountain. But here we are looking at a pond that has some name that I don't know, because that's the kind of theme park nerd that I am. Coaster nerds don't pay enough attention to Disneyland because, of course, there aren't enough coasters there. But any coaster nerd that claims to be as much a fan of theme parks as they are of coasters needs to have more regard for Disneyland, because there's still a lot to be learned about, I don't know, American culture, or whatever it is that this thing that we call American culture really is. Maybe an anti-culture. It's maybe what you have when you seek to eradicate culture as it used to be understood. But it's not quite just capital. I don't think you can explain it that way. What the hell is going on there? So one sign that said welcome. I don't know who's being welcomed to what. I know this is the back of the Space Ranger Spin, or Astro Blasters. I also don't remember which one is at Magic Kingdom and which one is at Disneyland. Come at me, bro. And we're walking under the monorail track. Alright, so we're headed more to the Tomorrowland side of the mountain, and that's fine. Because why is there a mountain in Tomorrowland? And the answer is because this isn't Tomorrowland, right? This is just Disneyland. The theme of this area is Disneyland. It's just, you're at a theme park, and they couldn't possibly theme all of it. And it's always been that way. And some of it is just there on its own recognizance, on its own strength. You don't fail when you don't have theming. When you don't have like some obvious theme, or when some area of a land that is supposedly themed lets the mask slip a little bit. You don't fail on that basis. You just fail when you fail to make a place with character. That was a duck. Anyway. Yeah, I was a little late on that. It always kind of bothers me how the initial parts of the Finding Nemo submarine voyage, which is on the right here, just let like portions of the story show when you're off the ride like this, and just don't, and nobody calls it out as being like, oh, those bubbles that are right there. When you're on the ride, they claim that you're like going down further under the water. And look at this rainbow fiesta party here. I don't know how they explain that on the ride, and they probably just don't. Yeah, like so much of Disneyland fails at the things that people say Disneyland does more consistently than other theme parks. So much of Disneyland lets the mask drop. And people say that's the problem with Six Flags parks or with just other theme parks in general, and it's not. And here we are really Well, this is full-on Matterhorn land. The Matterhorn is, of course, supposedly in Fantasyland, but not only does it not really fit there, but what is this thing that's above our heads right now? Why are they driving around on little cars over there? Mr. Toad is not involved, but like there's no theme to this entire, really quite large section of the park. Like there used to be, and I believe it was officially designated as a Fantasyland attraction, there used to be a motorboat cruise. That's not... Yeah, kind of right where we're looking now. There used to be the spit where they would board you for the motorboat cruise. A ride I never got to go on as a youth because it didn't look very fun. Because it wasn't very fun, and that's why it's not there anymore. It was like Autopia, it was loud, and it was for children and others who didn't have any say as to what ride they went on next. Yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping would happen. We're right in the thick of it. This is just Disneyland. Mere Disneyland. You know, you could say that the theming around It's a Small World is its own flavor of Fantasyland. And here comes It's a Small World in all of its glory. Right at the back of the park. I have long wanted there to be something across from It's a Small World. But maybe that's the wrong call. Like, I think you could possibly make Autopia take up half of the room or less and have it be a better ride. I think there's ways you could do that. And that would allow you to put something in what is currently the right side of the screen. But maybe that's the wrong call. You know, maybe there should just be kind of a stage on which It's a Small World sits. And across from that is just where we as audience stand and take it in. That's kind of fine. Again, it's my whole point here is it is okay for the park to just be a park. And that is always okay in theme parks. Sometimes it's okay, not great. Sometimes it's okay, could use improvement. There should be more to do in this place. But, you know, the only rule is have some regard for the presence of your guests. Not even try to please them, per se, but just know that you are on stage. You know? Certainly be happy that your guests are there, but don't forget who's in the audience. Don't forget who came to see who. I'm of two minds about Toontown. And I was around when Toontown was brand new. I visited the park when it just wasn't there, and visited the park kind of a long time after. Like, never got to ride the Jolly Trolley, and never will. And boy, is this place better with a big ride at the back like that. That's just a lot better. Roger Rabbit is really awkwardly placed, and the line is so awkward. You feel so penned in back there. And why is the line for Roger Rabbit always so long? Why is it as low capacity as it is? Like, Peter Pan crunches through guests. The line's always long, but it's always moving. All of the classic dark rides, they just crunch through guests all day. And Roger Rabbit does not seem to. Yeah, and this theater building is really, really gorgeous. They did such a good job moving this ride over. The rest of this area, I'm of two minds about. That's an expression that you may be cluing in that I use a little too often. Like, this fountain is fine, but it kind of is just what it looks like, which things here maybe have an obligation to not be. This dead end back here is very awkward, isn't it? And I guess I understand why they don't want to add another pathway connecting into Galaxy's Edge, particularly from here. But they should do it because it would be funny. And you shouldn't have dead ends, especially not dead ends that are this long. It gives children the wrong message. You know, it lets children believe that they are the point of something, and no, not really. Are we going full on into Mickey's house or wherever this is? This doesn't square with what I remember. Oh, it's a dog gate. It's a dog gate for Pluto. Very cute. Yeah, we're doing this, I guess. We're just going right through the laundry room. People are turning around because this is not a line that moves quickly once you find it. And this is the apiary. This is where Mickey keeps all of his bees. Mickey keeps a lot of bees, as you can see. Yeah. In Mickey's garden, there's always a great deal of smog. The sky is as yellow as a day in Los Angeles without the Santa Ana winds. This is not, well, it's a surprisingly hopping place to be in the dark. And I guess all children that you take to Disneyland, they're just going to be up until they die. They are not going to go down to bed. It does not matter how tired they are, because they won't be tired, because they're not in their bodies. They're not in their minds. They're not in their souls. Their souls have been removed and replaced with every Disney product they have ever consumed, playing in their heads. Not like a film, playing in their heads like other children. Ding dong on the amygdala, banging pots and pans together in your glands. I'm glad to be out of Toontown, and we're back in this Nowheresville, this the theme of this whole area. And really, even when you get as far as like the Storybook Land canal boats, like, it's not even called Fantasyland anymore. They had to make up another land word. Like, they had always been admitting that you kind of weren't in Fantasyland anymore once you got to the back of the park. And Storybook Land has been there since opening day, and the whole situation with Matterhorn Land, of course, did not happen until the Matterhorn was built. Disneyland didn't really become Disneyland until the 60s, right? Like, until the fairly late 60s. So that's when its identity really stabilized and has remained more or less what it was then ever since. They'll be additive with it. They'll do things like glue on Toontown in the back because they found a way to build more in the back. But the character, like, it had already set in. Like, I don't know that Walt Disney was the person who said, I don't think he was the person who said that they have to run it like it's... No, this was something that somebody said after Walt had died. It might have been something that Michael Eisner actually said, is that if we just keep asking ourselves, what would Walt do, then we're running a museum, not a living park. But the living park became a museum, the way things do, right? Because you have people who care about lore. You have nerds like me. You have nerds, I dare say, like us, who will be like, no, you have to do the thing. You have to do the thing. I love the thing, so you have to do the thing. You have to have your picture in front of the castle. You have to have your Fantasyland and your Tomorrowland and your Frontierland. You have to have the Rivers of America, even though you have a backup Rivers of America in California where they can't replace the Rivers of America due to permit issues. You have to this, you have to that. The whole place becomes ossified just by the force of the love that people have for it, which must be incredibly frustrating to people inside Disney who love the park, but who not only want to make their own mark on it for their own sake, but also love the park and want to change it because substantial parts of it could be better. People don't really care about cowboys anymore. They just care about Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And it would be okay if they let the rest of Frontierland go, in my opinion. Just do something else there. And of course, in Florida, in the Magic Kingdom, they are doing something else. They're trying to cheat it, right? They're trying to say, oh, it's still Frontierland, but we're changing what that word means. We're changing it to be, oh, it's all about getting in your car and driving around trucks. The new Dodge Ram F50. We're selling it by showing you pictures of splashing around in mountain paths that you are never going to drive in. You're just going to drive your truck to work and back, and you're just going to get that thrill that other people get, supposedly in your imagination, by driving it around mountain, river, streams, and you get that thrill by looking at your neighbor's truck and remembering that it's smaller than yours. And so they're doing that in Walt Disney World. But they're they are going to leave the Rivers of America here. I don't think they would ever want there to not be any Rivers of America in America. Like, I love Tom Sawyer Island too, and it's not going anywhere. The original is not going anywhere. The copy, it should be remembered, is literally twice the size, but draws like about the same amount of attendees. And that's not a good deal. That's like, at the end of the day, the theme parks have to be attractions. They have to attract. They have to be full of people. They have to be as full of people as they can be. So in the Magic Kingdom, their hands were kind of tied. They had to respond to Universal Epic Universe. They had to build something substantial onto the Magic Kingdom, and they could not afford to wait 6 years. Like, you guys remember, Epic Universe, they owned that land for 10 years, and they didn't even announce that they were doing anything with it for 4. And then they started to grade it. Like, it takes so long to take land in Florida that was not intended to have a theme park built on it, as very little land on Earth was, and turn it into land that you can build a theme park on. Like, they took a long time just moving dirt around on the site of Epic Universe. They do not have that kind of time at Disney. They have to respond, and they have to do it on land that's already graded, and they had a bunch of land sitting there that was sitting there. And it just wasn't drawing people. Tom Sawyer Island at Magic Kingdom, Tom Sawyer Island simply wasn't pulling its weight. And even at Disneyland Park, there's more people who love Tom Sawyer Island and would be glad to, or rather would be sad if it was gone. But they don't go there. And that is what a theme park attraction has to do. It has to attract. I wish that we could keep the Rivers of America and the Mark Twain and all of the theming around the Rivers of America, but lose Frontierland from Disneyland. I wish we could do that. I'm not interested in the presence of Cowboy Town. We need to keep Big Thunder too. And how do you work that? I don't know, man. Imagineers get paid a lot. They can figure that out. What is it that's the dead center there? What are those blue and purple lights? What is that situation? Oh, that's the sort of quasi Day of the Dead little display that the restaurant has. Yeah, that's cool. See, that's a direction I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't go with the whole place, especially after how well Coco did in Mexico. Like, this is Disneyland Park we're talking about. As tourist destinations go in the U.S., it's relatively convenient to Mexico. I'm a little surprised that they didn't make a play to just, turn Frontierland into Coco Land. keep the Rivers of America, maybe as their own thing, maybe as just like similar to Matterhorn Land. It would just be, Disneyland Zone and Disney Zone. They should change the name of the whole park. That was a lie. Lying is the only form of comedy I understand. You know something else I've never done? Is I've never actually sat and watched Fantasmic. Here at the Rivers of America. I mean, I've never watched it at Disney Hollywood Studios either, because that's why would you do that there? I mean, you would do it there because there was nothing else to do, because there's relatively little else to do. But it seems like the Fantasmic draw has always a little bit been, it's already Disneyland. You're already there. And again, it was an attempt to use space, to use the Rivers of America that you couldn't put people on at night. And that is a huge chunk of the park, just by square footage, that cannot eat people, that cannot provide capacity for a good chunk of the day. A chunk of the day that everybody, says is a magical time to be in the park, because it is. So Fantasmic was this attempt to make this area productive at night. And of course they made it too productive, because the only part of Fantasmic that eats people is the part where it doesn't eat people. It just puts them in other people's way. And they've adjusted the area over time so that that's less of a problem. How much of this place is Club 33 now? How much of the upstairs of this building? I got to go to the Disney Gallery when that was a thing, and you could just walk up the stairs that were around Pirates of the Caribbean, and you could just go to the Disney Gallery. And a lot of that stuff you can now see out at the Town Square Theater. But it was really, really cool. Also, the Blue Bayou isn't hidden anymore the way it was. Now I'm just doing nostalgia, old man complaining. Things are not the same. No, they're not. They're not supposed to be. This is Disneyland. This store is singularly. What's going on in there? Are those boxes of... Those looked like, I don't know, boxes of baking soda and cocoa. Maybe I'm just hungry. Yeah, and again, the restaurants, I mean, I wonder if they look back and they wonder if they shouldn't have built that back alley at all. Should have just all been one big restaurant. Tiana's Palace is a different restaurant than it used to be, but I have negative associations to... And did it used to just be called the French Quarter? Something like that? The restaurant? I have real negative associations with it. As a kid, I think I was made to eat there one time, and I got this odd thing that was covered in hollandaise sauce, and it just made me think of, Hofbrau. And again, I have negative associations with that term that are probably not deserved. That everything at a Hofbrau is just like heavy and sodden and kind of full of fat and yet flavorless. And yet I love Hofbraus because of the name. It's just a delight to say the words Hofbrau. That's the Haunted Mansion, sort of. I have to admit I'm kind of on the team that is against the overlay, not because it's a bad ride, but because it actually looks really effing cool. But just because that's a solid third of the year, given that they have to close the place for a month on either end, to install and then uninstall the overlay, that's a good third of the year when the proper Haunted Mansion, the original Haunted Mansion, is just straight up not available to guests. And I think that's too long. And also, yes, this shack that they built is much too large. It should be approximately half the size. And they did, yes, a rather half-assed job decorating the place, which at one point included some AI slop, which Disney, of all people, just has no right to do because they have paid for so much work for hire over the years. Just get some of it up there. Concept art and just the amount of shit in your Madame Leota and Jack Skellington are having a baby. What does that banner say? And I did call it Splash Mountain in my brain just now. Sorry about that. But you know, I'm a man of a certain age. I went to the park when Splash Mountain was only, I think, a year old, or a year or two old. And I rode that ride, and I was aware enough of the issues. I just had like a misconfigured awareness that like I rode the ride and I was like, wow, yeah, they threaded the needle pretty well there. They just used all that Song of the South stuff without being problematic with any of it. But of course, that's not how it works. And, you know, as much as my perspective as a kid was that, yeah, I remember seeing Song of the South, but I don't remember any of the live action parts of the movie. I was not paying attention. That shit was so boring. The only interesting parts of that movie were, yeah, the actual animated Brer Fox, Brer Bear, Brer Rabbit, etc. Wow, this is a not great queue area. It might be a little bit of an improvement on the Splash Mountain queue area. But wow, also given that queue situation for Winnie the Pooh, it's a little tight through here. And it's a little bit fence land. I also remember that you know, Bear Country, as it was once known, was the first like break through the boundary of the train tracks as far as where you could actually walk. Yeah, good old Bear Country. Do kind of miss the Country Bear Jamboree at Disneyland, but you know, long may it wave at the Magic Kingdom. Tiana's is fine. It is obviously like when they announced the whole project, I was like, well, they'd better not half-ass this, right? They'd better not cheap out, because if they cheap out, then they will make absolutely nobody happy. There's those factions which were never going to be happy with the change, but they at least had to make happy people who wanted to see the change and people who want to see more representation in the parks and in the sorts of things that get turned into rides. Those people were obviously going to be unhappy if they cheaped out and built kind of a crappy ride, and they spent a lot of money on the animatronics, and maybe that's where they ran out, because parts of that ride look a little cheap, and boy, that is saddening. They really should not have done that. They really should have, pardon the pun, they should have splashed out for every inch of that ride. And they certainly, there's parts of it where you can tell they did splash out, but there's also parts of it where you go, what even is this? And I'm not a guy who's ridden it. I'm just basing that off of seeing so many videos and so much content. Now I can barely tell where we are. Are we still in Bayou Country? And we just turned around. Oh, no. We've taken the turn up Star Wars Lane and onto connecting with Empire Boulevard and Black Spire Outpost Green. That's not what they call any roads. They should. They don't. The only other word I could come up with was boulevard, but I already used that. Salacious Crumb Avenue. That's the road that goes through the market. That's what that is strictly called. It's Salacious Crumb Avenue. That's official. They don't have the signs up anymore, or you know, they're just in the code. Keep looking around, you'll find them. Um, what's going on with the lighting on the spires there? I think that's just an artifact of the video, that kind of around the edges. The resolution is not great. This was shot on some kind of a funny lens, maybe? Because just as things get towards the corners, they get a little scrungly. I like those lamps. I like those street lamps, the kind of angled ones. That's pretty cool. Yeah, why is it darker in town than it is over where the Rebel base is at? That doesn't make any sense. And this is the one land in Disneyland that was really consciously built to make sense as a real in-story place. None of Fantasyland is built that way. None of Tomorrowland is really built that way, although that's more of an interesting question. Frontierland, I guess maybe once upon a time. But I don't know, I think there was a point where Frontierland kind of succumbed to just the fact that that was the cheapest way to build a theme park, and all of the other theme parks that sprung up after. Although I was surprised to find out lately that Six Flags Over Texas, which started the entire Six Flags chain, was built not too long after Disneyland was. It was built in like 59, it opened up. But most of the parks that we now know in the theme park universe, theme park cinematic universe in America, cinematic universe, most of them opened like around the time that Walt Disney died or not long after. Like Kings Island opened in 72. And Kings Island is a little bit of a special case because it's like it was moved there from Coney Island, which was down in the Ohio River, and of course Coney Island was named after the real Coney Island. And then they just changed it to Kings Island because they moved it to the Kings Mills neighborhood. And that is a really weird way to build anything. But there's so many of these parks, including my home park, California's Great America, which was once Great America, which was once Marriott's Great America. That's a beautiful shot. Are we headed for the Falcon? This is okay. Yeah, this is the cantina on the right here. Oh no, it's not. It's not. This is that sort of, again, it's not a nothing zone, but it's just it's greebling. You know, the people at Lucasfilm, I think, invented this term greebling for when you're building a model and you just have to make it look more complicated, so you just start gluing random crap to it that looks sort of cromulent. This is the equivalent of that for a large space meant for humans. It was originally, I think, going to be an attraction, but then they just decided, well, we'll just have like a speeder garage over here. And it's literally just scenery. I mean, I guess they also use it as a stage for some character interactions. Is this the Doc Onda's Antiquities we're headed for here? Or is this the Droid Factory? No, this is the Droid Factory. Yeah. You find this place a little depressing. And I'm sure Disney does too, because boy, did they want it to be full with more people than this, and with different things. They want it to be full of, they want that counter right there that we're looking at to be really full of people spending $200 at a shot. And they don't have it anymore because people want to get an R2-D2 in a box. Maybe they don't. Maybe there's still plenty of people, like during the day, I'm sure they have a good number of kids who want to build their own droid. What up, bros? Like, who wouldn't want to build a droid after hanging out with those guys? Okay, I think now we are headed over towards the cantina, or is this just the market? Again, yeah. I think we wander around here, and there some more droids over here. There's more droids over here. Oh no, this is the secret. This is a secret lightsaber town. Yeah, this is the other $200 they want you to spend. It's not open right now, or not popular. Is this the blue milk stand on the left? I think it is. Okay, yeah. This is Empire Square right here. I used to have a lot more. I mean, I still have a lot of love for Star Wars. And the way I've been saying it to myself lately, because I don't talk to anyone else, is I have more respect for Star Trek than I have love for it, but I also have a lot of love for it. I have more love for Star Wars than I have respect for it, and the amount of respect for it I have has declined somewhat in recent years. It's look, it's not good mostly. I hear good things about Andor. You don't have to post about Andor or anything else. Posting is pretty much always optional. Wait, was that the cantina? Yes, it was. Yeah, this area really is large. They really just were expecting it to be full of people forever. Why would people ever stop having opening day crowd levels? Why would they ever stop just paying more and more and more and more money to us, said Disney, if we build them a Star Wars town? Why would Millennium Falcon Plaza not simply be as full as an arena at Live Aid in 1980X? Why would it not simply be that all the time? See, the trouble with having a life-size Millennium Falcon that you can look at is you find yourself seeking out angles of it that were never in the films and that don't especially look like the Millennium Falcon to you. That was a fat Johnny Depp. That was really... That was Captain Jack Sparrow after he's settled down at port for a few years and enjoyed many beverages. I'm sorry for using the word fat. I'm a fat person myself, as longtime viewers of the channel already know. And I'm hard on myself and my own body, and sometimes that transfers into being hard on other people's bodies, which is not something I should do, and I apologize. I don't even know if that guy was a character or if he was bounding. It could have been bounding. That's in which case that's cool, and I take it all back. And I again don't have a great sense of where the hell we are. I guess this is Frontier. Nope. Oh no, this is Adventureland. I keep seeing things on screen that I didn't think were at Disneyland Park that I thought were only at... Yeah, okay, this is explicitly Adventureland. I thought we were... we just went by Indy, and we didn't regard it at all. So that's cool. This is proving to be an interesting exercise for me, and we're almost done here. But this has proven to be an interesting exercise for me just because watching a video like this, obviously at night there's less visual information, but it kind of reveals to me how a lot of the time when I've been to the park, I haven't been seeing the park because the park is in my brain enough that I don't need to see it in front of me. My brain will just fill in what it wants to fill in. Until you get to particularly spectacular areas that also match what is in your brain, such as the Jolly Holiday here, here on the right. Fantastic place to be at night in the park. I don't have to tell you people that. I don't have to comment on what's in front of me at all. Oh, it's still parade time. I forgot about that part because we went to the back 40 where there's not so much traffic. The new sign looks great. Yeah, there we go. Oonce, oonce, oonce. Is this paint the night? I don't have enough mental structure for any given glowing stuff parade. I mean, obviously I can tell the original because it's worse. In terms of, don't post about that either. Don't post at me. You know what I mean. I love the original Main Street Electrical Parade. It's an irreplaceable classic. And, like, they know how to make stuff that is a little bit more modern and cooler, such as the thing that we're looking at right now. Man, this is dope. Yeah, this has to be Paint the Night. I knew it was playing somewhere. I have seen, as I'm sure most of the viewers of this have, some criticism of the Disney Starlight parade at the Magic Kingdom, which seems to boil down to it's too dark. Which is, I think, a fair criticism. Like, if you're gonna darken Main Street and run a bunch of lighty stuff through it, that lighty stuff had better be lighty. You better do it. Do the thing. And apparently they did not do the thing hard enough for some. But again, I haven't seen it, and I've only watched a little bit of content about it. Yeah, we're just going to walk with this one float. We don't need others. This is the one that's with us on our walk, and that's fine. It's got a mermaid on it. It's got a lot of blue and purple and pink, and those are the best colors, really. We don't need a lot else. Remember 10, 15 years ago when all of the movies were blue and orange and black and white, like Tron Legacy? I'm really not a Tron Legacy fan. I am a super fan of the original Tron. And I did not succeed in going to see Tron Ares in the theaters, and I feel guilty. Tron Ares seems mostly to be red. It's a red film. Filmed in red vision. The cinematographer was simply blind with rage all of the time and could only see red, and so the film is only red. Because who wouldn't be blind with rage if they had to look at Jared Leto all the time? Oh, okay. Well, now this is all red. And now what are we doing? Is Jared Leto somewhere? Jared Leto is hiding behind this float. And as a result, I am entering a bloodlust fury that will result in my murdering all of these people. That's false. We covered that. Lying is the form of comedy that, yeah. So we are walking backwards down Main Street. There's nothing wrong with that. That's normal behavior that people do. Do you know, they have to grow that pumpkin every year and carve it again. Look at the size of that pumpkin. Do you know how long that takes? It takes 20 years to grow that pumpkin. They plant a new pumpkin every year, and they planted this year's pumpkin 20 years ago. They planted that pumpkin in 2005. George W. Bush was president. Times were sad, and that pumpkin was small and vulnerable. And now it's here for you. Jared Leto's in the building on the left, however. So this has been a walk through Disneyland. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Later.